Hello everyone, my name is Company and here is the south gate of Angkor Thom, Siem Reap. Yes, this Angkor has the famous Angkor Wat, the magnificent ancient stone temple between tropical rainforest. And this video is a general travel guide to Angkor and its city Siem Reap. I will tell you everything you should know before you visit here. Its background, features, pros and cons, sites, how to travel, kind of that. Yes, it's time to discover this ancient city of Cambodia. Let's go. Siem Reap is located in the northwest of the Kingdom of Cambodia. It is the second largest city in the country after the capital, Phnom Penh. But modern Siem Reap is not a big city in the grand scheme of things. Its population is only about 250,000 people. Siem Reap State or metropolitan area is also not that impressive. Chiang Mai, Thailand's second largest city, has also small downtown. But as the center of Chiang Mai province and northern Thailand, it has big malls and condominiums. But the population, the economy, it doesn't matter. Siem Reap is the face of Cambodia travel. It was, is, and always will be. Why? Because Angkor Wat is right here. Yes, Siem Reap was once the bright capital of the Khmer Empire that ruled the Indochinese Peninsula 1,000 years ago. In the moment, Khmer was the most powerful nation in Southeast Asia, occupying most of Thailand, Laos, and southern Vietnam. They built Angkor Wat and its surrounding magnificent temples. But the once mighty Khmer Empire fell in the 15th century, and Cambodia's glory days were never to return. In the west, the kingdom of Ayutthaya and Siam flourished. They are now Thailand. Siem Reap means defeat of Siam, the old name for Thailand. It reflects the wartime history of Thailand and Cambodia. And in the east, Vietnam in the north defeated Champa in the south. They cement their sovereignty over Vietnamese lands. Cambodia was merely a casualty. By the 19th century, France has colonized Cambodia. It was during this time that Angkor Wat became known to the world. After independence, the Killing Fields massacre. Cambodia was in turmoil and Angkor Wat was not spared. The destruction has not been targeted at the ruins themselves, but the extensive logging and clearing of the site has caused damage. And Thai cultural thieves has also removed the heads of many of the sculptures and reliefs at Angkor. But the Angkor ruins are still beautiful nonetheless. No visitor to the Khmer Empire's most colorful legacy can't help but be awed by this landscape. And Siem Reap, as the closest city to Angkor, it is the gateway to the ruins. Siem Reap is a small city of just around 250,000 people. As for a country's second city, it is the smallest in Southeast Asia along with Luang Prabang in Laos. However, it is very touristy, so it has everything you need. There's no McDonald's, but there's Burger King and KFC, neither of which are in Luang Prabang. And there are two Starbucks. One of them is in a mall. It is a little smaller, but it's still a mall. That's not all. There's also a movie theater in town, yeah? So when you arrive in downtown Siem Reap, you're like, wow, this city is really small. And then you walk around the city and you're like, wow, there's this here. Siem Reap is interesting in many ways. Siem Reap is still a very classic city. There are several reasons for this. First, there was no chance for contemporary buildings in the city. After the Khmer fell, Siem Reap was lost to history for a while. It was inhabited, but it wasn't big and it wasn't mentioned. Then France colonized it. Angkor Wat became a tourist destination, and French architecture was just being built here. That was 100 years ago. So now they are classics. After Cambodia gained independence, the country itself was genocide, dictatorship, war after war. So there was no time for development. In the 90s, the world started coming back to Angkor Wat. And in order to preserve the cultural heritage, strong development regulations were put in place, including height restrictions. So Siem Reap is a very classic city. Not just the Angkor ruins, but the old European architecture downtown, and even the newer hotels are very much in keeping with the old. I think you will like the atmosphere. Angkor Wat is arguably the single most impactful structure in all of Southeast Asia. Vietnam is much weaker in terms of traditional architecture. Thailand has the Grand Palace in Bangkok, Wat Arun, Wat Pho, Doi Step in Chiang Mai, and many other beautiful temples. But Angkor Wat is more than impressive. However, the city of Siem Reap, to be honest, isn't that appealing for a longer stay. It's a small city, so there are not so many things to do in town, like malls, condos, nothing really. Even without that, it's too much of a money pit to enjoy the sights. Like I tell you later, Angkor Wat and everything is expensive. Chiang Mai, Phuket, Pattaya, Ho Chi Minh, Hanoi, all have lots of long-term travelers and expats, but Siem Reap, tourists just visit a couple of days and leave. The first impressive sight of Siem Reap is the Old Market. It's an old-style building that sells all sorts of souvenirs. This is the center of the town because all of the tourist streets and markets are clustered around here. First of all, right down by the river to the south is the Riverside Market. It's full of stalls and the atmosphere is not bad. The river water is ochre colored, but it's not super dirty or smelly or anything. And then on the other side, on the north side, there is a noisy pub street with a bunch of pubs and bars. And aside from the pub street, the whole neighborhood has a traveler's town vibe. There are convenience stores, spas, ATMs or restaurants. It's the only place in Siem Reap where you can just walk around aimlessly. There are a lot of Western travelers here, so there are a lot of nice Western restaurants, Italian, Mexican, Greek, and more. Of course, it's expensive, but Cambodian restaurants here are always expensive, and Cambodian dishes in here has low quality than the Westerns, so I don't think it's bad to eat Western food. My personal favorite is Mama's Shop Italian restaurant just north of Pub Street. The food is really good. Sabusa Boulevard, which runs north-south on the west side, is the main street of this area. There's a Starbucks, a movie theater, KFC, Burger King, something good clothing stores. So if you want to get some air conditioning and do something, you can go to Sabusa Boulevard. Affordable accommodation is generally found to the east and west of this central area. East of Siem Reap River is more like organized blocks. West of Sabusa Boulevard, the streets are loose and disorganized, but both are within walking distance of Old Town Pub Street, so it's really a matter of preference. North of the bend in Sabusa Boulevard, it is good hotels and resorts area. Park Hyatt is the start of it. 4- and 5-star hotels are popping up all over the place. From the Bansley Collection in Sintamani, designed by a famed hotel architect Bill Bansley, to the FCC Angkor of Avani from Thailand, the Raffles Grand Hotel further north, and Sofitel beyond. But it's not a fun neighborhood to walk around. There are no little stalls and street shops, just big buildings. If you're looking for a luxury hotel stay in Siem Reap, you are probably going to stay along this area. There's the Royal Independence Garden in the middle of it, but it's not much out. The Angkor National Museum, just north of Raffles Hotel, is worth a visit. It's a cool, relaxing way to see the artifacts of Angkor ruins. The outdoor temples are too hot and they don't have description. The last point in town, at a rather remote intersection, is the Angkor Ruins ticket office. Of course, you can buy tickets online, but otherwise you have to buy a ticket here and keep it with you. Throughout the Angkor Ruins, tickets are checked but not sold. North of Siem Reap City, the Angkor Ruins finally come into view. There are several temples scattered throughout the large jungle area, almost as big as the city of Siem Reap. Angkor Wat is just one temple in the middle of it all. I'm not going to go into much detail here about the historical significance and interiors. I will leave that for you to enjoy learning at the site. Instead, in this video, I will give you an overview of how it organized and what each temple is responsible for. Angkor Wat, the face of the Angkor, it is the closest temple to the city and the first one along the road. It's all about grandeur here. The reliefs, the intricate carvings, the serenity. Maybe other temples are better than Angkor Wat, but it's only at Angkor Wat that you feel overwhelmed by the scale. And also, it is the most iconic sunrise spot in Siem Reap. Angkor Wat opens at 5 AM and the crowds start to build up from then on. The next two most important sites are Angkor Thom in the north and Thap Phrom in the east. Angkor Thom is a huge ruin, bigger than Angkor Wat. Actually, Angkor Thom itself is another group of ruins. Thom means big. There are Bayon Temple, Elephant Terrace, and many other highlights inside. The keywords of Angkor Thom are elaboration and face. The reliefs and carvings here are more intricate than those in Angkor Wat. They still amaze tourists today. And Bayon Temple and the gates of Angkor Thom have giant carved face whose mysterious smiles also fascinate. The keyword to describe Thap Prom is trees. Large trees has grown all over the old temples, eroding the buildings. It creates an impressive experience at Thap Prom. That is different from Angkor Wat and Angkor Thom. This is the most iconic triangle of Angkor, and there are many other smaller sites scattered in and around them. First up, Phnom Bakheng Temple between Angkor Wat and Angkor Thom. This is Angkor's most iconic sunset spot. It is different from the others because it's on the hill. The second is Tak Keo Temple on the way from Angkor Thom to Thap Prom. It is famous for having big steep stairs. Yeah, you will definitely have to be careful. The third is Prelup Temple, east of Thap Prom. It is made of blocks and another great sunset spot. Similar to Tak Keo, the stairs are steep. The fourth is East Mabon, north of Prelup. Same block architecture, and you will find some elephants. Of course, they are sculptures. The fifth is Ta Som in the north and its neighboring man-made reservoir Jayatataka. Ta Som is a small and less crowded due to its isolated location. And about Jayatataka, there is a small island in the middle of the reservoir. You can cross the bridge directly to see it. The last is Preah Khan Temple, north of Angkor Thom. Unlike Prelup, East Mabon, and Ta Som, which have incomplete elements, this is a more fully constructed temple, with a large size and moat. Sometimes it feels eerie because the architecture is wide but not high. Of these, Prelup, Ta Som, East Mabon, and Preah Khan are all part of the Grand Tour route, and the smaller triangle of Angkor Wat, Thom, and Thap Prom is called the Small Circuit. Tonle Sap Lake is a very large lake south of Siem Reap. It covers an area of 2,700 square kilometers, which is 3.5 times of the size of New York. Actually, Tonle is a river and Sap is a lake in Cambodian. So if you call it Tonle Sap Lake, it's redundancy. But that's how everyone calls foreign places, so I will call it Tonle Sap Lake. This lake is too big, too wide, and the lakeshore is inaccessible mangroves, so tourists normally goes with a tour to Kampong Plok, southeast of Siem Reap. The route is like this. First, you stop a local market along the way, look around the market with your guide. Then you ride a boat and go to the floating village. After the village, you will paddle around in a small boat throughout the mangroves, then you go further out to see the big lake. And that's it. Next up is Phnom Kulen National Park, about 40 kilometers northeast of Siem Reap. But before we get there are 2 points of interest. Bantisrai Temple and Kabal Spin. Both of them are required the Angkor ticket. Bantisrai, built about 200 years before Angkor Wat. It means Citadel of Woman, and its earth-colored architecture is unlike any other. The intricacy of the reliefs is beyond Bayon. Kabal Spin is a small valley in the mountains and it's not easy to get to. You have to walk about 1.3 kilometers from the parking lot. But at the end of it, hidden in the valley, mysterious reliefs in the water welcome visitors. Now it is time to enter the real Phnom Kulen. The entrance fee is $20 per person. That's a bit pricey. The first point you will encounter is Amazing Cliff. The name is little hard to remember, so it's usually referred to as the just Amazing Cliff. The second is the two-tiered Phnom Kulen waterfall. This is also a waterfall, but there's a lot of people playing in the water nearby. You can bring a swimsuit or buy from there. Lastly, Preah Angthom Temple with a lying Buddha statue. Angkor sites are usually more a ruin than an active temple, but this is an active temple with real monks and Buddhists visiting. Of course, the buildings and carvings are very classic, as you expect near Angkor. And then south of Phnom Kulen, on the way back to downtown Siem Reap, there's a ruined temple called Bung Milia. Again, you need the Angkor ticket to enter. Bung Milia is a little less grandiose than Thap Prom, and added a lot of tranquility. Thap Prom is the main course of Angkor Triangle, so it is a bit chaotic at times. But here, because of the distance, there are far fewer people. Of all the Angkor sites, this is my favorite. Finally, the last stop on our long-awaited video tour, Siem Reap Angkor International Airport, south of Bung Milia. The original airport was near the city center, but they built a new one farther away. So it's got the good facilities, but it's also very far away. Of course, it is not the end of the whole Siem Reap. There's a Bakong Temple southeast of the city, the War Museum, the Botanical Gardens, but they are very much secondary in terms of accessibility, content, and so on. I think the places I showed you in the video should be enough to get you started. Angkor is a great site of ruins. The main Angkor Wat is one of the top 3 Buddhist sites in the world, and it's the most accessible of them all. Myanmar is in the middle of the civil war, so Bagan is hard to get there, and Borobudur is hard to get to unless you're traveling with Bali. But Cambodia is sandwiched between Thailand and Vietnam, so it's easy to connect with either travel powerhouses. It's magnificent, beautiful, poorly preserved. That's what makes it all the more impermanent in time and desire. But Angkor Wat is just the most famous one. Other sites in Angkor are just as impressive. Thap Prom, Bayon Temple, Bang Milia. If they are in another part of the world, in another country, they could be the most important site in their own right. So, Angkor is home to such a fantastic collection of ruins. It's one of the best things about traveling to Cambodia. I hope you get to see it with your own eyes at least once in your life. Siem Reap is a city that attracts travelers from all over the world. Cambodia's GDP per capita is around 1,800, which is less than half of Vietnam's. In Thailand, you can find their convenience store everywhere, but in Cambodian small cities or towns, you never find it. However, Siem Reap is different. First of all, there are all air-conditioned supermarkets everywhere in the city. You can easily buy anything you need as a traveler. There are also ATMs for easy money withdrawal. It's not uncommon to see Korean, Japanese, and Thai ATMs all in one place. Card payments are also pretty universally accepted, unless except shabby street vendor, of course. Fancier ones usually have a Visa or MasterCard contactless badge. There's also a wide range of accommodation options. You can find everything from hostels, which are great for young people to be noisy, to mid-range hotels like Ibis Styles, to luxury-style hotel resorts like Park Hyatt. As for language, most people who deal with travelers speak English, which means you won't be lost for words. Clearly, it is the town that thrives on international tourism. Angkor Wat isn't the only thing to see in Siem Reap. South of the city is a large lake called Tonle Sap, where you will find floating houses and gorgeous mangrove forest. That's enough for a decent day trip. And there's so much more to Phnom Kulen in the northeast. If the floating village is okay, this place is just as breathtaking. You will need 3 days just to see Angkor, plus a couple of days for a nice day trip, and 1 day to explore the city. You could easily spend a whole week in Siem Reap. The capital city of Cambodia, Phnom Penh, is much bigger than this, but there's not much to see around there. The travel cost in Siem Reap is relatively high. As I mentioned before, the economy is less than half of Vietnam's, but the cost is more expensive than Thailand. You can easily spend $10 for 2 dishes and a drink. Even the shabbier outdoor stalls charge $2 or $3 for a menu. In the Chiang Mai night market, it's usually only $1.5 for a meal like this. What about accommodation? 5-star hotels are easily over $300. Budget-style hotels are similar to Chiang Mai. Hostels can be easily be found for $7 or $8. The same goes for transportation. The airport bus costs $15 round trip. Taxis are like $30 one way. I've never seen anything this expensive in Southeast Asia. Tours and other entrance fees are also grossly overpriced. Phnom Kulen National Park charges $20 per person. One-day ticket to Angkor is $37 and 3-day tickets cost $62. In fact, if you have spent a lot of money in a country with a high income, you're like, whoa, this country has very high prices, and that's all. But in Siem Reap, the labor cost is very low, so I'm a little more dissatisfied. Siem Reap city center is very small. Roughly speaking, this yellow area is where the main things are located. It's about the size of Hyde Park in London. So when you are exploring the city here, you're like, is that it? You can walk down the famous pub street for 5 minutes and that's it. Even if you go to the night market, there's not much there. And the things that are sold are not very unique, they are very typical. You can find many small pleasures in Chiang Mai or Luang Prabang, but Siem Reap is not like that. Siem Reap's latitude is about the same as Bangkok, which means it's hot and tropical all year round. And the main attractions in Siem Reap are usually outdoors. Didn't you feel this when you were looking at the area description earlier? Wow, there's a lot of sunshine, that looks hot. And that's what you're actually going to experience. Phnom Kulen National Park in the mountains or Tonle Sap Lake, they are better because you're in the mountains or on a boat with a river breeze. But the Angkor ruins are infernal. There's no way there's air conditioning in here, right? And when the sun is shining, it is just painful. Even in the shade, you are sweating after a while. It is just as hot walking around the town, but at least you can take a tuk-tuk to escape the heat. But Angkor ruins are really clueless. The Grand Palace in Bangkok is similarly hot, but it's an intensified version of that. Please take care of your own water and rest if you get tired. Siem Reap has a tropical savanna climate as Bangkok. This climate can be categorized into 2 or 3 main seasons. The rainy season in summer and the dry season in winter. And again, the dry season is separated by extreme dry season where it is little bit cooler and inferno dry season, which is much more intense. First of all, December through February is the extreme dry season. This is considered the peak season for traveling to Siem Reap, because it is easier to explore the Angkor ruins. Then there's the March-May Inferno season. In Thailand, the water festival Songkran opens during this time. But there's no reason to come to Siem Reap without visiting Angkor. So you'd avoid this time of year as much as possible. Late May through September is the rainy season. To bring an umbrella is recommended. It's basically hot, but it gets a little cooler when it rains. But the floating village is not floating in early rainy season. Water is not enough yet. So if you're interested at Tonle Sap Lake, June to August is not good too. October and November are the end of the rainy season. The rains has made Tonle Sap Lake very wide and the floating houses are completely floating. Waterfalls and valleys like Phnom Kulen and Kebal Spin are even more spectacular. So if you just want to visit Angkor ruins, the extreme dry season from December to February is the best. But if you want to go to the floating village, valley and waterfalls, October and November are also good. Siem Reap Angkor Airport, the gateway to Siem Reap, unfortunately there are not direct flights from other continents, so you will have to make one stop over to get to Siem Reap. Cities in Southeast Asia that have direct flight to Siem Reap are Phnom Penh, Cambodia's capital, and Bangkok, Thailand, Hanoi and Saigon in Vietnam, and Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, also Singapore. By the land, tourists normally take a minivan from Bangkok, Thailand, or Phnom Penh, Cambodia. They usually take 6 or 7 hours. However, even if you cross the border from Bangkok, the price is cheap, around $25. So if you want to save money, you can ride this. With the budget airlines, they charge an extra cost for your luggage. But with these minivans, you don't have to pay for that. Cambodia also requires a visa to enter the country. You can get it at the airport at the border control, or you can apply for an e-visa in advance. It is a bit expensive at $30, one of the downsides of traveling to Cambodia. When you join the tour, there's not much you need to worry about. They will pick you up from your hotel, drop you off at the end of the day, they will take care of everything. So if you want to walk around the city a little bit and don't want to bother with anything else, you can book a tour. You can do it in online or you can ask at your hotel or hostel. The advantage of tour is that the guide is very detailed. Or you could bargain with one of the many tuk-tuk drivers in town to go to Angkor Wat or whatever. They normally charge $20 for Angkor day trip, which is a bit expensive, but is still cheaper than a private tour. And you can spend more time taking pictures for yourself. So it's really up to you to decide what's important to you, detailed guide or lots of photos. You can also rent a motorcycle with your international driver's license. The downside is that you have to drive yourself under the sun, but it is the cheapest way to get around. There are three main types of tours that depart from Siem Reap. The first and second are Tonle Sap Lake and Phnom Kulen. Both are some distance from the city center, so there's a lot of demand from people who want to go there conveniently. And for Tonle Sap, you have to take a boat. It's not easy to foreign individuals. The Tonle Sap Lake is again divided into two, morning and afternoon. The route is same, but simplified. Afternoon is for sunset. The third, Angkor. In terms of time of day, there are sunrise, sunset, and daytime. Also, there are the small circuit for the most important places, and then there's a grand tour, which takes in distant places. If you go for just one day, it's always the small circuit. But if you buy a 3-day pass and you will doing multiple days, I'd recommend doing the grand tour first. After you've seen Angkor Wat, Angkor Thom, and Tháp Prom, which are so intense, the smaller places on the grand tour will seem boring. Also, staff read your QR code in your ticket, so you don't need to print your online ticket. The capture is okay. Let's recap what you learned today. A quick summary of Siem Reap and Angkor.
Yes, how is it? This video is way more longer than my others, but it only covers the essentials. Honestly, there are many downsides in Cambodian travel, but Angkor Wat is apparently worth a visit in your whole lifetime. This place where I end this video is the old town of Siem Reap, and thank you for watching this long video, and thank you again.